His ruin, I knew, would be epic, and he was completely, blissfully unaware of the seismic shift about to occur beneath his feet. The air crackled with a manufactured triumph, a symphony of flashing cameras and forced smiles. Roric, my former business partner, stood on a brightly lit stage, bathed in the glow of a massive screen displaying the logo of Nexus, my life's work. His voice boomed with exaggerated confidence, proclaiming a future he believed he had single-handedly forged. He spoke of innovation, of market disruption, of a revolution, all the while taking credit for every sleepless night, every breakthrough, every line of code I had meticulously crafted over the last 7 years. He even dared to mention the challenges we had overcome, a thinly veiled reference to my departure, which he framed as a natural evolution. His eyes, briefly meeting mine from across the room, held a glint of smug satisfaction, a silent taunt. He thought he had won. He believed he had stripped me of my very essence, leaving me adrift. But as I stood there, calm amidst the frenzy, a quiet smile played on my lips. He was celebrating a victory that was already unraveling, a mirage he couldn't see past. For all his ambition and cunning, Roric had overlooked one fundamental detail, one critical safeguard I had put in place long before greed had consumed his judgment. My secret weapon wasn't a counteroffensive. It was the foundation itself, the very ground he now so confidently stood upon. His ruin, I knew, would be epic, and he was completely, blissfully unaware of the seismic shift about to occur beneath his feet. To truly understand the irony of that moment, you must first understand the journey that led me there. My name is Kaelen, and for as long as I can remember, I have been captivated by the boundless possibilities of artificial intelligence. It wasn't just a field of study for me. It was a calling, a deeply personal quest to create something that could fundamentally enhance human potential. Nexus, my AI project, was born from this passion. It started as a personal endeavor, late nights fueled by cheap coffee and an unyielding belief in its potential. I poured every ounce of my being into it. My savings, my energy, even my social life became secondary to the intricate dance of algorithms and data. I sacrificed vacations, turned down lucrative job offers, and endured countless setbacks, all for the dream of seeing Nexus come to life. Its core was a revolutionary adaptive learning algorithm, designed to evolve and self-optimize with unprecedented efficiency. It was elegant, powerful, and truly groundbreaking. It was during one of those early, lean years that Roric entered the picture. He was charismatic, well-connected, and seemed to possess the business acumen I lacked, or so I believed at the time. I was an idealist, a developer consumed by the technical challenges, perhaps a little naive about the cutthroat world of startups and venture capital. Roric, on the other hand, spoke the language of growth, of market share, of billion-dollar valuations. He approached me through a mutual acquaintance, expressing immense enthusiasm for Nexus. He painted a picture of a partnership built on mutual respect and shared vision, where my technical genius would be complemented by his strategic prowess. I saw him as the missing piece, the conduit that would take Nexus from my cramped apartment to the global stage. We formed a company, ostensibly as equal partners. He handled the business development, the investor pitches, the marketing, while I remained immersed in the relentless pursuit of perfecting Nexus, trusting him implicitly with the commercial side. But cracks began to show. Slowly, subtly, Roric's true nature began to emerge. He'd take credit for my ideas and meetings, subtly undermining my input, even as he relied entirely on my technical expertise. He became increasingly secretive about financial matters, brushing off my questions with vague assurances. There were times when a small voice in the back of my mind cautioned me, a flicker of unease about his moral flexibility, his casual disregard for ethical boundaries when discussing hypothetical business scenarios. I dismissed these feelings, attributing them to my own lack of business experience or perhaps my overprotective nature towards my creation. I wanted to believe in the partnership, in the shared dream. It was this nagging intuition, combined with a deep-seated meticulousness born from years of complex coding, that led me to take a critical, foresightful step. While the company we formed owned the application of Nexus and its commercial iterations, the fundamental, core algorithms, the very intellectual heart of the AI, remained distinct. Before we even signed the initial partnership agreements, and certainly before any major investments came in, prompted by an internal desire to protect my foundational work, I had consulted with an independent intellectual property lawyer. I explained to her the distinct nature of the core algorithm versus the product built upon it. Based on her advice, and without Roric's full appreciation of its significance at the time, I filed a personal patent for the foundational, core adaptive learning algorithms of Nexus. Roric saw it as a bureaucratic formality, a necessary evil for future investment, focusing only on the company's patent for the specific product applications. He signed off on it, not realizing he was signing away his future claim to the very essence of Nexus. This wasn't an act of malice or premeditated revenge. It was an act of cautious self-preservation, a testament to understanding that while trust is vital, vigilance is paramount when your life's work is on the line. It was my quiet insurance policy, break glass in case of emergency measure, tucked away, forgotten by all but myself. The moment of betrayal, when it finally arrived, was shockingly mundane in its execution. Roric summoned me to his office, his demeanor unusually formal. He didn't mince words. "Kaelen," he began, without preamble, "we're taking Nexus in a new direction. A more aggressive, profit-driven direction. And frankly, your idealistic approach, your focus on ethical development over rapid market penetration, is holding us back. Effective immediately, your services are no longer required." He slid a severance package across the desk, a paltry sum designed to insult rather than compensate. My mind reeled, not from the shock of being fired. I had sensed the growing chasm between us, but from the sheer audacity, the cold, clinical dismissal of years of my life. He fired me from my own company, from my own creation. But unlike what he expected, I didn't scream. I didn't beg. I didn't even raise my voice. I simply looked at him, a calm, almost serene expression on my face. "I understand," I said, my voice steady. "I wish you luck with Nexus." My composure clearly threw him off balance. He had anticipated an emotional outburst, a dramatic scene. Instead, he got quiet acceptance, which he undoubtedly misinterpreted as defeat, as my broken spirit. This perceived weakness only fueled his arrogance. He believed he had defanged me, rendered me harmless. In the weeks and months that followed, Roric reveled in his supposed victory. He made a grand show of relaunching Nexus, rebranding it slightly, pushing it aggressively into the market. He gave interviews, portraying himself as the visionary who had pulled Nexus from the brink of stagnation, hinting at my ineffectiveness. He courted investors, secured massive funding rounds based on my technology, and publicly ridiculed my lack of business sense that had supposedly necessitated my removal. I watched all of this from a distance, calmly. I allowed him to build his towering edifice of lies, knowing that the higher it rose, the more spectacular its collapse would be. My plan went into motion with quiet precision. I spent my days meticulously gathering all the necessary documentation, the original patent for the core algorithms, dated years before the company's commercial launch. The detailed technical specifications that clearly demonstrated the uniqueness and foundational nature of my patented work, email correspondences and internal documents that proved my sole authorship of the core tech. I met with my intellectual property lawyer again, ensuring every legal angle was covered. I didn't confront Roric, nor did I leak anything to the press. My silence, I observed, was indeed interpreted as resignation, even despair. Roric grew bolder, his public proclamations more extravagant. He began to finalize a massive deal, a partnership with a global tech giant that would solidify his position as a new titan in the AI world. This, I decided, would be the perfect stage for the curtain call. The climax arrived on a crisp autumn morning at the grand auditorium of the Global Tech Summit. Roric was poised to deliver the keynote address, the highlight of which was to be the official announcement of Nexus's monumental partnership with Omnicorp, a deal that would catapult his company into the stratosphere. The room buzzed with anticipation. Industry titans, venture capitalists, major media outlets, they were all there, eager to witness what was being hailed as the next big thing. Roric, immaculate in a tailored suit, strode onto the stage to a thunderous ovation. He began his speech, charismatic and self-assured, the architect of a future he had stolen. He detailed Nexus's capabilities, projecting impressive growth figures, and even had the audacity to include a slide featuring a blurred image of some of my early code, attributed solely to our dedicated team. Mid-speech, just as he was about to formally announce the Omnicorp partnership, I walked in. I didn't rush, didn't make a scene. I simply walked down the main aisle, my steps measured and deliberate, towards the front row where an empty seat awaited me, one I had reserved days ago under another name. A ripple of whispers spread through the audience. Some recognized me, aware of my unceremonious departure. Roric, mid-sentence, faltered. His eyes, wide with disbelief and a flicker of panic, locked onto mine. "Kaelen," he stammered, recovering quickly with a strained laugh. "What a surprise. I wasn't expecting you." I offered a polite, almost imperceptible nod. "I wouldn't miss this, Roric," I said, my voice clear and calm, amplified by the sudden hush that had fallen over the crowd. Especially not for the launch of a technology so close to my heart. Then, I simply sat down, pulling out a discreet, slim folder from my inner jacket pocket and placing it on my lap. The entire room's attention shifted to me. Roric, visibly unnerved, tried to regain control, rushing his speech, desperately trying to get to the Omnicorp announcement. As he began to speak of the groundbreaking collaborative efforts with Omnicorp, I calmly rose from my seat. "Excuse me, Roric," I interjected, still calm, my voice carrying through the silent auditorium. "Before you proceed with this significant announcement, there's a crucial piece of information that seems to have been overlooked." I held up a single document, the certificate of my personal patent. The date was clearly visible. "For those of you unfamiliar," I continued, addressing the entire room, "this is patent number 1234567B, filed and granted on the core adaptive learning algorithms that form the very heart of the AI you know as Nexus. These algorithms are my personal intellectual property, developed and patented years before our company was even formed, and certainly before any commercial applications were built upon them." A stunned silence descended. You could hear a pin drop. Roric's face, initially a mask of forced confidence, drained of all color. He looked like he'd seen a ghost. His eyes darted desperately around the room, from me to the Omnicorp executives in the front row, who now wore expressions of dawning horror. "This is preposterous," Roric finally blurted out, his voice cracking. "He's making it up. It's an old, irrelevant filing." "On the contrary, Roric," I countered smoothly, "it is the very foundation. Without these patented algorithms, Nexus as you know it, as you've just described it to this esteemed audience, simply cannot function. The commercial applications your company owns are built upon this patented core. Any attempt to use, license, or sell a product based on these algorithms without my explicit permission, and without a proper licensing agreement, constitutes a direct and egregious patent infringement." I then turned my gaze directly to the Omnicorp representatives, who were now conferring furiously. "And I assure you, I have no intention of granting such a license to a company that has so flagrantly disregarded my rights and stolen my work." The implications hung heavy in the air. The entire room erupted in a cacophony of whispers, gasps, and frantic phone calls. Roric was trapped, exposed, and utterly ruined. The fallout was immediate and catastrophic, a domino effect triggered by that single, quiet reveal. The Omnicorp executives, their faces etched with fury and embarrassment, stormed out, their multi-billion-dollar deal evaporating into thin air. The news spread like wildfire. Within hours, stock prices for Roric's company plummeted, crashing into oblivion. Investors, facing colossal losses, initiated a flurry of lawsuits for fraud and misrepresentation. The media, which had so recently lauded Roric, now tore him apart, exposing his deceit, turning him into a pariah overnight. The public reaction was one of outrage. My story, once merely a whisper, became a roaring testament to intellectual property theft and betrayal. Roric himself descended into a spiral of public humiliation and legal battles. He was stripped of his assets, his reputation shattered beyond repair. His grand empire, built on a foundation of lies and stolen innovation, crumbled into dust. The employees he had misled and exploited were left jobless, many expressing their shock and anger, some even reaching out to me with apologies for having believed his narrative. It was a stark reminder that while justice can be slow, its arrival is often devastating for those who have built their success on the wreckage of others' dreams. I watched it all unfold with a sense of measured satisfaction, not vengeful glee, but the quiet contentment that comes from seeing balance restored. My focus remained on Nexus, not on Roric's demise. but it was impossible to ignore the poetic justice of his spectacular downfall. Months have passed since that day at the Global Tech Summit. The dust has settled, the legal landscape has cleared, and I have regained full control of Nexus. It was a long road, navigating the complexities of reclaiming my intellectual property and rebuilding the company from the ground up, but this time on my terms. I carefully assembled a new team comprised of brilliant, ethical individuals who share my vision for Nexus's true potential, not as a tool for quick profit, but as a force for positive change. We relaunched Nexus, not with hollow promises, but with transparency and integrity at its core. The market's reception has been overwhelmingly positive. Investors who had previously shied away, now eager to be associated with genuine innovation and a story of triumph over adversity, have come on board. Nexus is thriving, fulfilling the promise I always knew it held. Roric, on the other hand, is a ghost. He disappeared from the public eye, his name synonymous with disgrace and professional ruin. I hear whispers of ongoing litigation, of him attempting to salvage what little remains of his shattered life, but his influence, his wealth, and his reputation are irrevocably gone. His story serves as a cautionary tale within the industry. This journey taught me invaluable lessons. It reaffirmed my belief in the power of innovation, but it also hammered home the critical importance of protecting your work, your vision, and your intellectual property with unwavering diligence. Trust is essential in collaboration, but foresight and comprehensive legal safeguards are equally vital. Never underestimate the quiet strength of preparation and the profound impact of integrity. In a world where ambition can often overshadow ethics, remember that true, sustainable success is not built on deceit or the exploitation of others' hard work, but on the unshakable foundation of your own truth, your own diligence, and your own unwavering commitment to what is right. Ultimately, genuine creation, protected and nurtured, will always overcome the fleeting triumphs of theft and deception.